This year, what you're going to see up here is you're going to see grown men get emotional. You're going to see kids get emotional. This year we lost an icon to the duck calling industry. We lost an icon to a mentor of young people, mentor of old guys. Look at these guys. In Proverbs 27:17, it says, as iron sharpens iron, one man shall sharpen another. That was Butch Richenback. We lost Butch this year, and the void he left is absolutely huge. You're going to see a streaming or rolling dedication to him here, and I invite you all to take a look at it. I know that these gentlemen, well, we got somebody having an emergency, don't we? We got these gentlemen up here going to do some talking, and here we go. So, Stuart.
Well, hello. Thanks for everybody for coming out. You know, when have you ever tried to describe something to someone, and you talk and you talk and you talk, and then finally you realize that your words are not doing it justice, and you eventually say, well, you just had to see it. Or if you're describing an event, you try to describe it to the best of your ability, and then finally you say, well, you just had to be there. To completely to understand what type of a guy that Butch was, you really had to know him. And I know there's a lot of people behind me and some of you out there that knew Butch, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. We could go around and everybody could tell their favorite Butch story, and I think if we could ever get with a Hollywood writer, I think we could make a series about Butch if we wanted to. Butch was a very unusual guy in that I used to always tease him. I said, Butch, you hate adults and you love children. Butch, when you would first meet him, would be a very curmudgeonly, crusty type of guy. And to be honest with you, the first time that I met him, I couldn't stand him. I just absolutely did not like this guy. And I couldn't figure out why so many other people just absolutely loved him. And the more that I was around him and got to know him, then I figured it out. Butch had a heart for children that was just almost indescribable. He spent years coaching baseball, just years and years dedicating himself to the kids. And then with duck calling, not only was he a great duck call maker who just had skills that has influenced so many other call makers that have come since, he shaped the way that competitive duck calling went. I don't think that there's any doubt that if it were not for Butch, in my heart, I really don't believe we would be here today. I really think the sport would have died out. He kept it going by working with children, and you know, Butch invested all of himself into kids, and every year he had children that he would help throughout the year, help them with duck calling, and then he would have classes, and it's literally thousands of kids that Butch taught over the years. And I think Butch understood that it wasn't just about duck calling, it was about shaping these kids to where they would grow up to be fine young men and young ladies. And you know, it was really weird when we'd go to Butch's house, and he and I would sit and visit, and I would look around. Butch lived in a very modest home. He lived in the house that his mother had left to him. It was very modest and nothing at all fancy about it, and he was one of the top duck call makers, probably the top duck call maker in the country. But when it came to kids, I guarantee you he gave away a fortune in duck calls. Whenever they would have a seminar, and a kid would be there, everybody bring their duck calls, and he would start going through it with them. If he saw a kid that didn't have a duck call that was up to snuff, he would give him a call. He would make, you know, when everybody else wasn't looking, I would see many times he'd reach in his bag and pull out a top of the line acrylic duck call and give it to a kid, just so that he would have something good to try. And he loved working with children. He never married. He never had a family of his own. Never had any children of his own. But I think he had thousands that he would like to claim. And I know Butch really. He told me several times how he had pushed at the Chamber of Commerce in Arkansas and the people that were involved in the event, he always said, you know, we need to take this west. We've got too many contests in Arkansas. We've got too many in the Midwest. They need more out west in California. He understood that this is where there are going to be a lot of callers that were going to come from this area, and that it was necessary to have California and a lot of the other western states involved in competitive duck calling being successful. So I really think that he would appreciate this, and I'd like to say to everybody that's putting on this contest, to Kittles Sporting Goods and all the volunteers, everybody that's done this, I think it's really nice that you guys have taken the time to dedicate this to Butch, and I know that that it would have meant a lot to him. And I'll try not to be too long-winded, but like I said, just knowing what Butch meant to the sport of duck calling, there is a huge void that is now here in working with children, and I don't think any one man is going to be able to fill that void that he's left behind. So I think it's up to all of us, and I challenge myself and all these guys that are behind me, all the duck call makers, everybody that's out here, all of the adults. I think it's going to take a team effort to try to fill the void that Butch left. We may never fill it completely, but I think we need to step up and try our best to fill those shoes. So I'll turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
My name is Brett Crow, and I started competitive duck calling in the year 2000, and meeting several of my close friends over the years, including Stuart McCullough, Tim Hudson, Stuart Mattis, and we've been through a lot over the years, and going to certain events and having interactions with Butch Richenback over the years. It's truly been a pleasure to have known him and what he has dedicated to the sport of duck calling in general. It will be greatly missed, and very proud to have known him. He was a great man.
Yeah, I'm Stuart McCullough, and I bought my first call from Butch in '97. Original smoke acrylic call that I blew for many years. Won several contests with it. Last year when Butch was here, he came out. I figured I'd bring that call back out again, and I blew it one more time for him. Good call, good man. When Brad said legacy, that's exactly it. If you go up and down, border to border, all around here, up into Canada and everywhere else, everybody knows that man and how much he's touched the youth and the industry. So I've had the pleasure of being able to go to his house and walk in at Thanksgiving time on Thanksgiving night and find families from all over the nation with their kids in there blowing duck call for him. And he took his time away from his events to give to those kids. And it's very special. I'm very thankful to know him, and we thank you all for coming.
Hi, my name is Craig Wilson. Unlike these guys, I didn't start contest calling until just a couple of years ago. I remember picking up the phone and calling the R&T shop. For some reason, Butch answered, and I said, Butch, I'm Craig, I'm new at this. I really want to try contest calling. And he said, well, go ahead and blow a routine for me over the phone. So I blew my routine, and he said, well, I got two things to tell you. One, you're not blowing my call. And how he knew that, I had no idea. He said, but I'll be happy to help you. And the second thing he said to me was, you don't sound half bad for doing it all wrong. And he invited me out to his shop. He didn't know I was calling from California. He said, just come on out to the shop on Saturday, and I'll be happy to help you. So I got a plane ticket, and I flew to Arkansas and was at the shop on Saturday morning. When Butch found out I flew out from California, he spent 11 and a half hours that day with me, helping me with my calling. I can't say enough about him. I'm very proud to have called him my friend.
Okay, you good, Ryan? All right. You know, we got one more individual who's going to come up here and do a special thing. Please keep the calls down out there in the vendor area. You know, you've heard from men up here that have talked about a legacy. And whenever somebody leaves, they always leave too soon. But here's the thing, we've all been blessed. We've been blessed to know such a man, and that's outstanding. So if we can give just a brief pause of silence and think about what he's done for you, for your children, and for this industry. Okay, Mr. Allen, we have a, we're going to close this dedication of Butch out with another blessing, and that's to know this man right here and his gift that was given to him. Are you ready to go? You want to see this?
I thought they asked me to say something for Butch like the rest of these guys, and I was thinking that I know that Butch's his funeral was in the middle of the week, in the middle of the country, and it was a world away geographically from here, and there's a pile of folks here now that were truly distraught by the fact that it was impossible for them to have participated in the memorial service we had in Stuttgart, and I was honored to be a part of it. And I thought that for these guys that weren't able to be there, and I've spoken with like Stuart, it was killing them that they couldn't go. So I thought we would do a little bit, not all of it, and I'm going to try to, I was joking earlier, I'm about cried out on this deal. We have had a long summer, and but I'm going to tell a quick story, and this is exactly what I told in the memorial service. Several years ago, I'd say it's about 99 or so, we were at the Wings Over the Prairie Festival. The R&T shop had a big party. And Stu, some of you guys may have even been there. And we played music all night, had a big time, and I got to noticing, I mean, it was 11 o'clock at night, Mr. Butch was still around. He hadn't said a word. He's not indicating that he's even enjoying it. And you have to just know Butch. He was just a crusty guy, you know. You wouldn't think he was happy ever, but he's just sitting there and he's not reacting. And so he walks into the shop, and then we end up going inside the shop and continuing playing music. And for you guys that have been around those kind of situations, it's priceless times in this fraternity of duck callers. And I looked at Mr. Butch. I said, Butch, what do you want to hear me sing? He said, you don't know my favorite song. That's exactly what he said. He said, you don't know my favorite song, I promise you. And I said, well, try me. And he said, 6 White Horses. I'm like, 6 White Horses. And it dawned on me that what he was meaning was, she'll be coming around the mountain. I don't know. And there's one of the verses in there, 6 White Horses. I said, well, Butch, I've never sung it, but just to show you that I'm willing to try, I'll try. And I sang it, and it was horrible. And he had a blast, and we got a smile out of him. And about 3 or 4 days later, I got a letter in the mail from Butch Richenback. Now, can you imagine how honored I was, without even opening it, that I had gotten a letter from Mr. Butch? And he said, and I could just hear his voice saying, son, I enjoyed that the other night, and I want you to sing at my funeral. So what do? When Mr. Butch tells you he wants you to sing a song in his funeral, you do it. And I did, and I'm going to today. And you won't be impressed by the performance, but I hope you can imagine and get a glimpse of what kind of fella we're talking about, that he wanted to hear this song that night at the party and at his funeral. And I will try to do this without crying. Okay, here we go. This is for you, Butch. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out to greet her when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out to greet her when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out to greet her. Oh, we'll all go out to greet her. Oh, we'll all go out to greet her when she comes. You boys call for Butch today, and we'll get the scoring right, Butch, I promise you.